Each and every Monday is $9 Monday at both wagertalk.com and sportsmemo.com, when all daily picks packages are priced at only $9, including 5% best bets, normally priced at $35. As an added bonus, any picks packages loaded early for overnight Tuesday or action during the week will also be priced at $9 until midnight on Monday. So make sure to take advantage of getting these $25 and $35 picks for only $9 before the clock strikes 12 and they return to regular price.
Welcome into the NFL Opening Line Report Week 4. I am Drew Martin, joined by Teddy Covers. We're breaking down the games, getting you on the right side of some of these moves, where the odds are going, and hopefully the best entry point for you. Teddy, happy Monday morning to you, my co-host here, Teddy_Covers on Twitter. How you feeling, buddy?
I'm feeling great, Drew. I have no complaints. I always have complaints, dude. You always got complaints on money. I should have played this. I shouldn't have played that. But the NFL's been running real good. I lost on the very first night. I had the Rams a play that I put out over the summer because I thought that line was wrong, and I was wrong. Since that opening night loss, I've had a grand total of 2 losers in the NFL. One was the Raiders last week, where they lost when the clock hit zeros was when they lost the cover, and the other was the Lions-Vikings over yesterday, which I released at 52.5 and landed 52. It closed 51, 51.5. I'm sure many clients are able to at least push, if not win, with that play. So we're seeing the NFL pretty clearly to open the season, riding an 83% run into Monday Night Football.
I won't bring up Kyler Murray again, Teddy, until we have to talk about him with the Arizona Cardinals. Do you remember that from last week? Yeah, that was a tough one. Good play by him. Let's get into the Monday Nighter real quick before OLR begins. Dallas Cowboys, New York Giants tonight, Teddy. NFC East battle, 39 being the total. We've seen this line really bounce around. Giants minus near field goal, then all the way down to pick'em, then a little bit buyback here, back to -1, pretty much across the board right now. Looking at the Wager Talk odds screen, like anything tonight. What do you think in Monday Night Football?
So I do not expect this line to move in any significant way between now and kickoff. The Giants are -1, and I don't even think I'm not even convinced we're going to see 1.5s or pick'ems. It feels like it's painted -1 right now. Total, we've seen a little bit of under money, but as you know, Monday Night Football, the public doesn't like betting a whole lot of unders. I would not be surprised if we see a little bit of over money. Certainly at the books that cater to recreational bettors, we'll see some. But not a big line move expected in this one. You've already seen it with the early money on Dallas. I am involved in this game. You can get the play right now over at Wager Talk or sportsmemo.com. It's a $9 Monday selection. You can get it for just $9 right now.
Thursday night, September 29th, as we kick off NFL Opening Line Report Week 4 here, 8:15 Eastern kick, 101, 102, the rotation number. We are just going down on the odds screen, guys. NFL Opening Line Report in rotation order here. Miami Dolphins, Cincinnati Bengals, Teddy. Thursday night football, 47.5 or 48 being the total, -3 pretty much across the board. We've seen money come in on the Bengals since the opener. Teddy, this isn't 101 level handicapping, man. Interested in your opinion here. Short week, quarterback issues on the Miami side, defending AFC champions in the Cincinnati Bengals. What are you thinking Dolphins and Bengals Thursday night?
So look ahead line for this game, Cincinnati -2, total 48.5. My pure powering number for the game is only -2, and the markets are at -3. And yet, I'm not going to say who I bet in this game. I got a client selection up for this game, and if you hear the analysis, you'll know exactly who I bet. But I'm not going to actually say the play right here, right now. But this is one situation where the look ahead line, my powering number, there's a situational factor here that's stronger that overcomes any of that. And that is the fact that Miami's defense was on the field for more than 40 minutes yesterday. They were on the field for 90 defensive plays in a single ball game. Again, they got out yard. They won the game. They allowed 31 first downs and 497 yards, and they gained 212. Okay, from a box score standpoint, this is as misleading final as you'll ever see in the NFL. And the defense was on the field for 90 plays. That's tough for a Sunday to Sunday turnaround, let alone a Sunday to Thursday with turnaround, with the travel turnaround, let alone with, oh, by the way, there's a hurricane barreling in and you better be ready for it maybe. I don't know if it's going to hit Miami, but it's one more distraction for the exhausted and very fat and happy road team in this one. You know, the Bengals, in many ways, dominated the game against the Jets. And in other ways, they didn't really stick it to them. They were settling for field goals. They had a couple of turnovers. The offense moved the ball up and down the field for extended stretches, but there was no running game at all for Cincinnati. That's a problem for them. And the quotes after the game from the Bengals, you know, Zach Taylor, we just needed to get the first win. I don't care what it looked like. I didn't care if it was 3-0 or 49-3. We just needed to rip that Band-Aid off, get that first win. We've been a confident team all along. We're going to start to gather steam, and that's what we did today. T. Higgins, the past 2 weeks, you weren't being us, making mistakes, jumping off false starts. This week, we locked in. I had a big ticket winner with Cincinnati for myself and my clients yesterday. And, you know, if you've heard the analysis of this game, you probably don't need to buy my play for Thursday night.
I like it, Teddy. It pays to listen. Thursday nighter should be a fun one. Amazon Prime. We got Sunday, October 2nd slate. We're going top of the card down to the bottom. 251, 252, 9:30 a.m. Eastern, 6:30 a.m. Pacific here, guys, as we head across the pond. Minnesota Vikings, New Orleans Saints. We're seeing Vikings open 1, now -3, mostly -2.5, though, Teddy. It's as high as -3 at South Point in Las Vegas, 44 being the total. Do note it's not at Wembley. It's at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Teddy, not sure if that makes a difference. What are we thinking here? Vikings and Saints.
Yeah, but definitely note that even though New Orleans is listed as the bottom team, it is not a home game for the New Orleans Saints, obviously being played in London. Look ahead line, there were some pick'ems for the Saints. There were some pick'ems or some Minnesota -1s prior to kickoff yesterday. Total 44.5. My powering number is Minnesota -3, and the markets today, as you mentioned, the -2.5. There are a couple of threes out there, total of 44. If you like the Vikings, I wouldn't argue with laying the 2.5 now. You want that number in your pocket. That being said, I'm not seeing this, oh, you better bet it this second because it's going to move type of situation, so we're not going to emergency betting alert this particular game. If you do like Minnesota, we have a 2.5 now. That being said, because, I mean, Saints offense, turnovers, penalties, protection issues. And Jameis Winston's not right. Okay, he's not healthy. We saw it yesterday. He wasn't seeing open receivers. He's got a back injury. He's got an ankle injury. They outgained Carolina 6.7 to 5.0 yards per play, but the -3 turnovers were a problem, and that's not going anywhere with Winston behind center. You know, Dennis Allen, who was a failure in his first tenure as a head coach. I think we got to be better early on in the game. We got to execute better. Certainly that starts with us as a coaching staff. We got to get a good game plan together and give our guys a chance to be successful. So maybe you look at New Orleans first half. Quote, we're beating ourselves with penalties. We're beating ourselves with turnovers. Yeah, that's what happens with poorly coached teams. Minnesota found a way to steal one yesterday. You know, I mean, they looked in the first half of that game like they were every bit as bad as we saw them on Monday Night Football against Philadelphia. Fell behind 14-0. They fell behind 24-14. And they found a way to come back. Really played well on both sides of the football to do it with an interesting offensive game plan. You know, it was Osborne and Thielen, not Jefferson in the passing game. It made all the difference. You know, Osborne, we're a resilient team. We got it going. And when we counted, we got it done. I don't disagree with that. I think Minnesota's the better of these two teams. The market's already there with.
Next game up, 1 o'clock Eastern, as we get to this side of the pond here up next. Tennessee and Indianapolis, Teddy. We're seeing Colts -3. There are some -3.5s out there. 42.5 being the total. We get the Titans at the Colts. Next game up, Teddy.
Look headline was Indy -3.5, 44.5. So we've seen some under money coming off of that look ahead. And again, it was 3.5 and 43.5 last night. So the early money here clearly coming towards the under. And you can understand why. All right. Tennessee's offense worked against the Raiders because Derrick Henry was able to run the football. And all of a sudden, when Derrick Henry's running the football, Ryan Tannehill has open receivers to throw to. There was 0 sacks allowed. There was room to run for Henry all day. And therefore, the offense worked for Tennessee in a way that it hasn't the first couple of weeks. The defense is spotty. Las Vegas was in the red zone 6 times in that ballgame. They've allowed back-to-back 300-yard passing games. And the betting markets just do not like this team. Tannehill, 9.8 yards per pass attempt in that ball game. Quote, we got the ball rolling in the right direction, and that was our message all week. Come out, find a way to win this one game. We'll get the ball rolling in the right direction and build on it. Makes sense for Tennessee. Look, I know that Indy won against Kansas City yesterday, thanks to, when we get to the Chiefs, I'm going to talk about what the ref said the flag was for. As random, as game-changing a random flag as you'll ever see. But it basically gave Indy a win and took one away from KC yesterday. But, their offensive line is getting pounded. Ryan took 5 sacks yesterday. He's fumbled 7 times, the most through 3 games in the NFL in the last decade, by the way. Wow. And the markets seem to think Indy's fixed. My powering number on the game is only 2.
Teddy, next game up, Chicago and the New York Football Giants, 255, 256 here. Giants -3. There is a 2.5 at DraftKings. 39.5 being the total. Of course, the Giants playing tonight, guys. If you like them tonight, might want to look to bet them tomorrow. If you're looking to bet against them tonight, maybe look to bet against them in this game against the Bears. Learn that from Teddy Covers and doing this show for many years. Teddy, what are we thinking here, Bears and Giants?
Yeah, if the Giants look good tonight, I would expect that, let's put it this way, the lone 2.5, there's a couple 2.5s out there. They're not going to be there. All right. I don't know if they'll get to 3.5, but if the Giants look good. The look headline here is Giants -3. My powering number is Giants -3. We're right where the markets are. Obviously, the Giants play tonight. Chicago ran for 280 yards on the ground, and they still couldn't throw the football in the win over Houston. That is certainly concerning. And the play calling now for the Bears. Justin Fields, 82 net passing yards, 22 dropbacks, along with 2 fumbles and 2 interceptions. We're not seeing aggressive play calling from Chicago in the passing game. It's clear right now the coaching staff does not trust Justin Fields to fire the ball downfield on a regular basis. And, they won the game late on an interception that led to a field goal. It was nothing the offense did in that one.
Teddy, next game up. This one feels a little playoff preview. Buffalo Bills, Baltimore Ravens. We're seeing Buffalo, road favorite here, -3.5 points on the highway, 52.5 the total in Baltimore.
Let's get some doodly oops going because it's time for today's first emergency betting alert. So I know there was a comment in the YouTube comments saying that that guy hated the emergency betting alert sound. All I can say is, hey, we stole it from Wayne's World, and I think it's funny. Some people think it's funny. It is what it is, and there's no better sound out there for an emergency betting alert. Look headline here: Bills 3.5, total 55. My powering number: Bills 3.5. The markets: Bills bet up from 3 to 3.5 this morning. What I want to talk about is the total, where the look head was 55. It opened 53.5 across the board last night. Now we're seeing 52.5, 52s. There's a 51.5 out there. We all know about the hurricane that's heading towards Florida. Guess where it's supposed to be by next weekend? East Coast,
all the way.
Virginia,
okay.
Baltimore, Maryland. This under will be pounded. If you want to bet the under, bet it right now. Run, don't walk to the window. And of course, you have the Bills coming off a loss, which I would think may attract some betting market attention. But Buffalo's got a major problem in their secondary right now. All right. Micah Hyde is out for the season. Jordan Poyer's hurt. Dane Jackson's hurt. The rookie cornerback Christian Benford's hurt. Basically, in the defensive backfield, at least against Miami, the only guy with any playing experience was Teron Johnson, and it still worked. The Bills defense still works. And it's also worth noting with that defense, Buffalo hadn't allowed 3 completions of 20 or more air yards in a single regular season game since the start of 2021. They did it yesterday. But they still held Miami to 212 yards. They had 31 first downs on offense. They were 11 of 18 on third downs and 2 of 3 on fourth downs and more than 40 minutes of possession. Sean McDermott, quote, You should win those games. You just didn't take care of the ball enough and come away with some takeaways. There will be some support for Buffalo this week. And certainly when you look at the Ravens side, the offensive line is a problem. They're down to their fourth string left tackle, and they're still putting up points in bunches. Literally. Now, Ronnie Stanley has been back in practice. He could be back this week, which would give them a first string left tackle. They gained 7.1 yards per play against the Pats defense. And I got to tell you, Lamar Jackson, the first player in the Super Bowl era with 3 or more passing touchdowns and 100-plus rushing yards in back-to-back games. Here's his quote. "We got to score 2. Last week when Miami started scoring and they went on the run, I think we put up 3 points. I wasn't having it. None of us on offense were having that in this game." You asked me who the NFL's MVP is after 3 weeks of the season. Lamar Jackson is my clear choice. He has been unbelievable. But the hurricane conditions in this one could definitely affect this total. It's certainly going to affect the totals market.
Lamar Jackson, no contract, no problem. He's pulling an Aaron Judge, and we'll see what he gets in the open market if this continues, Teddy. Betting on himself, got to root for that.
Dude, he was so good. New England's defense is no joke. Belichick takes away what everybody wants to do best, year in, year out, game in, game out. And if you watch Baltimore against that defense yesterday, it was Lamar Jackson doing stuff that only he can do. Impressive offensive showing against a pretty elite defense, but especially when you consider they were down to their fourth string left tackle.
Next game up, guys. 259-260 LA Chargers, Houston Texans. Chargers off of that tough one. I don't know. Maybe the Jags are for real, but we'll see, Teddy. -6 on the highway. That is the Chargers. 45.5 being the total here.
Let's get another emergency betting alert queued up, because if you're going to get involved in this game, you need to know where the line's going to move right now. Chargers Texans look-ahead line was LA -7, total of 46. My powering number is 6, and that feels a little bit high. Opened 6.5 last night, 45.5. We have seen Houston money this morning. We are going to see more Houston money. Rashad Slater, their Pro Bowl offensive lineman for the Chargers, just got announced out for the season. It's not just him. Okay, this is a Chargers team. The roster is stacked with stars. All of their stars are hurt. Keenan Allen, hamstring issue. He didn't play. And all of a sudden, the passing game didn't work. Mike Williams, 1 catch for 15 yards. They got outrushed 151-26. Keenan Allen's hurt. Okay, star. Cornerback J.C. Jackson, hurt. Star. Pro Bowler. Center Corey Lindsey, Pro Bowler, hurt. Star. Joey Bosa suffered a groin injury yesterday. Got hurt. Out. Rashawn Slater, and he's a star. Rashawn Slater, star. And, of course, Justin Herbert's playing through fractured rib cartilage. That is not an easy injury to play through, especially when the running game isn't working, especially when your offensive line is banged up, and especially when you're missing all your key defenders. Brandon Staley. Remember, we talked earlier about the Dolphins being on the field for 90 plays defensively. Here's what Staley said about the Chargers being on the field for 40 plays defensively in the first half. Quote, "We played over 40 plays on defense in the first half. I felt in the second half, it didn't feel like we had that same energy. We didn't affect the quarterback today. They also had a big impact on the game." No, my single biggest parting adjustment from week 3 to week 4 came on the Chargers. We have downgraded this team significantly. All their stars are hurt. The Texans stink. I got them power rated as the single worst team in the NFL right now. They got gashed on the ground, 280 yards rushing to the Bears against a team that couldn't pass the football. All that being said, the Texans are a feisty little team. They fight back. And I would not be surprised to give the Chargers, the banged-up Chargers, a test on Sunday. This line can only go down. You want Houston, take them sooner, not later.
Great analysis, Teddy. Yeah, mostly -6 out there. 5.5s are starting to pop up, guys. Look towards the Texans. We get Seattle and Detroit up next. 261, 262, Teddy. 50 being the total. We're seeing Detroit Lions -6. Some shops showing 6.5 here. What are we thinking? Seahawks and Lions in the Motor City.
Look headline was Lions 6 and 46. My powering number is 5.5. The markets are at 6. As you mentioned, there's a couple of 6.5s out there, not many. I don't think this line is going to do a whole lot. Total sitting has been bet up. It was 46, and the look ahead was 48.5 last night. And look at the Wager Talk Live odds screen right now. I'm seeing 50 pluses out there. Look, the Lions are a dead nuts over. They didn't get there yesterday by the hook. If you bet it early, if you bet it late, they still got there. And Seattle allowed Marcus Mariota to throw for 11.5 yards per pass attempt at home. Cordell Patterson, 8.3 yards per rush. Of course, they're playing without their top 3 cornerbacks, Artie Burns, Sidney Jones, Justin Coleman, all inactive. Don't know if any of them are going to be good enough to go this week. And Geno Smith, for all the stuff, hey, we like Geno Smith. He covers point spreads, yada, yada. Smith, last year, again, he played fairly well. They covered some numbers, but he had 3 chances while filling in for Russell Wilson last season. 3 times he was unable to lead a game-winning drive. Got a chance to do it again yesterday. And once again, the last winning drive, the potential game-winning drive, it wasn't pretty at all for Seattle. When defenses gear up on Geno, Seattle's offense doesn't work. I got the Seahawks as my 31st ranked team in the NFL, only Houston below them right now. And I mean, the Lions, snatched defeat from the jaws of victory yesterday. Didn't score in their last 5 possessions of the game where they moved the ball up and down the field for much of it. Dan Campbell went for the 4th down on 6 times in that ball game, and then tried a 54-yard field goal that he second-guessed himself out afterwards. It wasn't any good, and ended up being the difference the difference in the total being cashed. And it's certainly what might have had an impact on that final drive. Jared Goff, not amused after the game. Quote, "That game should have been over long before they were able to get back into it. I'm sure they know that. But we let them back in, and that's our fault." Lions with the lead, maybe not the most trustworthy team. They're certainly not a team that has any track record of success as a favorite in the last half decade.
Good stuff, Teddy. And when I think about Detroit, I think Jared Goff, maybe their passing game a little bit underrated. You bring up the 3 DBs down or possibly down for the Seahawks. I'm guessing you like that matchup. It's just, this Lions team, not really the type of team I want to be laying points with, right?
Sure. Well, I can understand why the over has been pounded already.
Yeah.
And again, look ahead for the total was 46. It was 48.5 last night. It's 50 this morning. And when I'm giving emergency betting alerts, I want to give the emergency betting alerts on the line of games that haven't moved yet. This one's already gone.
Okay.
You've missed the best of the number on this particular total.
Sure. That Dan Campbell going for it on 4th down, guys, that's usually an over kind of indicator. And we saw the total open 46 up to 50 pretty much across the board. Market reacting quickly to that total. We got 263, 264 up next. New York Jets and Pittsburgh Steelers. 1 o'clock Eastern kick here, Teddy. 41.5 being the total. We're seeing Steelers -3 in the hook across the board in the Steel City.
Yeah, look headline with Steelers -3.5, even money, but still at 3.5. Total 42.5. My powering number, Pittsburgh, -3.5, and the markets are -3.5 for Pittsburgh. So look ahead, my powering number and the markets are all the exact same number, which tells you this is probably not a game I'm going to get involved in. Although there could be some interesting. So let's see what happens here with Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson's going to come back this week. From all indications, Joe Flacco's performance yesterday, as Wilson's been back in practice. Flacco, who, threw a couple of second-half picks, neither of which was pretty, and couldn't get the Jets into the end zone in that ballgame. He'll be sitting as soon as Wilson's ready. What I'm curious to see is if the markets are going to react, because this is already priced in that Zach Wilson's in. Unless the markets are saying Wilson and Flacco are the same powering number. I don't. I think Wilson is by far the better of the 2 quarterbacks. I did not like this quote from Robert Saleh after the game. He threw his veterans under the bus. The Jets had 4 turnovers and went 0-2 in the red zone. They're not going to win games like that. Saleh, quote, "Our vets made critical mistakes at critical times." The Jets are a really, really, really young team. They need the veteran leadership. And that quote to me, where you're throwing your vets under the bus, that's not a bet on quote, even if Wilson does come back. And of course, they're supposed to be better on defense this year. They spent big free agent dollars. They used 2 first-round draft picks. The unit ranked dead last in the NFL this year. Saleh's a defensive mind, and Jets defense so far This year looks a lot like last year. It has not been particularly strong defensively for the New York Jets. And the Pittsburgh side, look, without T.J. Watt, there's no pass rush. They have 171 yards on the ground to Cleveland. Tomlin, after the game, said that he's not considering a change at quarterback. He's not considering a change at play caller, Matt Canada. Quote, I think Mitch made some plays, but we all collectively came up short. Winning is our business. I wasn't looking to be impressed. I was looking to win the game. Number looks cheap here for Pittsburgh, but again, my powering numbers say Steelers aren't that much better than the Jets, even at home.
Next game up, a battle of first place teams. Jacksonville Jaguars, Philadelphia Eagles, 1 o'clock Eastern kick here in Philadelphia. We saw an opener, at least at the Wager Talk odds screen here, Teddy. That's the Eagles -7. Well, now it's -6 across the board. So I'm guessing Jacksonville Jaguars money getting it off the key number of a touchdown. 48.5 being the total. A lot of people thinking Eagles, maybe most surprising team in the NFL, Teddy, but first place Jacksonville Jaguars, surprising as well. What are we thinking here in Philadelphia?
Yeah, I mean, I talked last week that I thought that Philly ranked number 3 in the NFL in my power ratings behind Buffalo and Kansas City. And look what happened this week. Look at the mainstream power ratings. You're going to see Philadelphia ranked number 3 in the NFL. Good thing we were a week ahead of that on the covers. Eagles. Look headline here, Philly -7, total of 48. My power rating number, Philly -9. Markets 7 and 47.5, and the money's coming for the Jags so far this morning. Not seeing them. I mean, I think there might be a rogue 7 or 2 out there, but not enough to emergency betting alert it. You can see the confidence grow on Jacksonville with every drive. Okay, you saw it yesterday. Trevor Lawrence, multiple touchdown passes in back-to-back games for the first time in his career. It's only 1 interception in 3 games. They outrushed the Chargers 151-26. Jags, 28-point road win was their biggest victory on the road since 2001, when Trevor Lawrence was 2 years old. Quote, I think the way we played, you can't deny that we're a really good team, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what it says about us. We know who we are. We played a complete game, and a stacked 2 weeks is big for us. That's Trevor Lawrence's quote. Defensive lineman Dwayne Smoot. Our number one thing is stop the run. That's what we did today. When we stop the run, we can have fun. That's what we did. Here's one of these little things that doesn't mean anything or not. Of course, it doesn't mean anything, but it's still fun to talk about. Trevor Lawrence started his NFL career 0-9 on the road. He won week 3 against the Chargers. That was his first road win. Peyton Manning lost his first 9 road starts for winning in week 3 of his second season, like Trevor Lawrence just did, at the San Diego Chargers at the time.
No
Lawrence.
way.
Wow. Lawrence said, that's pretty cool. That's interesting. And it is. It's also random. But it's one of those things you're like, Because Trevor Lawrence has looked real good the last couple of weeks. And obviously the markets are showing us that. But have you seen what Philly's done on defense the last 2 weeks? Shutting down Minnesota. Dominating Washington line of scrimmage. They allowed 3.2 yards per play in that game against the Commanders. They sacked Carson Wentz a career-high 9 times. And oh, by the way, that's on defense. On offense, when it's like, how good is this passing game going to be? A.J. Brown, remember what he did in week 1? 10 catches, 155 yards. Devonta Smith yesterday, 169 yards. This team's got weapons. Philly's really good. And Jacksonville's going to be tested this week. This ain't a banged-up Chargers team. From a spot standpoint, you don't love it for Philly, coming off Monday Night Football and division foe. But from a matchup standpoint, this might be a reality check for Jacksonville.
Abby Jackson in the house saying, Teddy giving us a history lesson. Absolutely, Teddy. That was a heck of a stat. As you were reading that off, I'm like, no way, week 3. And then I'm thinking, no, the Chargers are in a different division. No way. And then you said the Chargers. I'm like, wow, that is crazy stat. Because coming into this season, I mean, Peyton Manning, he was 3-13 his rookie year and then 13-3 his second year. And, you know, you could make the argument Trevor Lawrence was the most sought-after quarterback prospect coming in the draft since Peyton Manning. So in terms of, like, comparing the two, wild stat, man. Yeah.
And Drew, I saw that you put up a play on the Jags to win the division at a big plus price.
We're ways away. We're ways away.
Talk live odds, free odds page. I'm just going to say this. That's a live bet.
Really?
What's going to
You
win?
think it's really got
That's
legs?
a live bet.
All right. Plus 750.
Tennessee's no good. Indy's no good. Houston's no good. If Jacksonville's any good and they face a really weak schedule, they're alive.
Yeah.
And so good prescience on that one.
Plus 750. Hey, we're live. Long way to go, though. A lot of runway. We'll see. Jacksonville Jaguars, Philadelphia. Yeah, we're live. That's what you can ask for with a plus 750 future. Washington football team, now the Commanders at the Dallas Cowboys. Teddy, next game up, 267, 268. We got Cowboys minus 3-point home favorites. 42.5 being the total. Of course, Cowboys playing Monday Night Football. If you like them tonight, maybe look to bet them in this matchup. If you don't like them tonight, maybe look to fade them. What are we thinking here? NFC East battle, Teddy.
Look ahead line, Dallas minus 2.5, total of 43. My powering number heading into Monday Night Football, Dallas minus 4 over Washington. The markets today are sitting mostly with threes. There are a couple of 2.5s with juice out there. Total sitting at 42.5. There's nothing to like about Washington. You know, you built your offense around Carson Wentz, and you get what you pay for. He took 9 sacks yesterday. That's all on the offensive line that's supposed to be good and isn't. Wentz is not a mobile guy at this stage. So when he holds the ball, there's trouble. He doesn't escape out of the pocket. He rushes his throws when he gets hit. As you know, yesterday he was awful after he took some hits because he rushed every throw that he had. And of course, the Commanders 3.2 yards per play in that ballgame against a good defense. They're facing another Dallas defense is good. You know, Carson Wentz. I've got to be better. They got after us. I did not play to my standards. He gets the same quote at him every week. You know, worth noting for Washington's home field advantage or lack thereof in the future. This quote, and I know they play on the road this week, but this is one I wrote down to make sure to give you guys because it stood out. Jalen Hurts for Philadelphia yesterday. Quote, it definitely felt like a home game, just how loud it was, how much green and black was in the stadium. None of the Commanders has a big home field edge these days. Of course, they had just 50 yards at halftime. The defense wasn't any good. Back-to-back games where they've been gashed with big plays. We'll see what Dallas looks like tonight, but Washington to me is a red flag team. I want no part of Ron Rivera's squad.
Heading to the ATL up next for the last 1 o'clock Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific kick, 269-270. Cleveland Browns, Atlanta Falcons. Browns minus 2 in the hook. 48 the total in downtown Atlanta here, Teddy.
Yeah, look at line here. Cleveland minus 3, total of 45. My powering number only has the Browns minus 2. The markets open 3, been bet down to 2.5. Atlanta's 3-0 against the spread. All right. And, you know, this is what I wrote about Atlanta yesterday as I'm taking notes during the games. I'm liking this offense every week. Drake London's the next big thing. 38% of Cordarrelle Patterson's runs result in first downs, the highest percentage in the NFL. Defense, not so much. This is an over team. You know, Mariota, 11.5 yards per pass attempt last week. Patterson, 8.3 yards per rush against Seattle's defense. Now, they did stay out west, as you mentioned last week, Drew. Nice find. They were returning home after being gone for a week and a half, which sometimes is not a great thing. And Atlanta's 3-0 against the spread. That's the beginning of a betting bandwagon. You know, Cleveland, this floored me. You know when the last time the Browns had a receiver have more than 100 yards receiving and a receiving touchdown in back-to-back games? 9 years ago.
Wow.
9 years ago. All the receivers they've had. They haven't had 2 back-to-back games where a guy had 100 yards and a touchdown until Amari Cooper did it the last 2 weeks. They did suffer a bunch of injuries, key defensive injuries in the game against Pittsburgh. Anthony Walker got carted off the field. Starting linebacker Jeremiah Owusu-Koroma went off to the locker room. He has a groin injury. Defensive tackle Tevin Bryan was hurt. Defensive end Jadeveon Clowney is already out. And even with those injuries, still had Pittsburgh 1 of 9 on third downs. But it might not be quite so easy to shut down Atlanta that way. Falcons offense right now really is clicking. Been very impressed with how Atlanta's looked on that side of the football early on this season.
He's Teddy Covers. I'm Drew Martin. This is the NFL opening line report each and every Monday, 10 a.m. Pacific time. We're getting you on the right side of some of these moves. Teddy Covers, check him out, wagertalksportsmemo.com. He's the #1 handicapper at Wager Talk and net profits since February 1st. Guys, this stat is pretty crazy. Every play since February, 226 and 157. That's 59% winners for plus 209% ROI. That simply means if you're betting $100 a game, you're up over $2,000 betting every single game that Teddy's released. That is a heck of a stat, guys. He's also 10-2, red hot, over 80% in the NFL. He nailed his 5% bet just yesterday. The 5% big ticket plays, 17-5, 77%. 45 and 18, that's 71%, going all the way back to May of 2021. Check them out. Teddy covers Wager Talk and sportsmemo.com. Next game up, Teddy, 271-272, Arizona Cardinals, Carolina Panthers. We're seeing the Panthers -1 or -1.5, depending where you're shopping here, 44 being the total.
The markets are crashing on Arizona as we speak. I thought it was going to happen, and it's happening. Look at line was Arizona -3, 46.5. My powering number after the games were played last night is still Arizona is chalk here, -2. The markets are saying Arizona can't be voted. I get it. Arizona's a mess. All right. Kyler Murray had 58 pass attempts, 2 sacks, and 2 rush attempts. That's 62 times he's holding on to the football and making plays with his hands. The rest of the team had 19 carries for 62 yards. They got outgained 4.5 yards per play to 7.4 yards per play. The quotes, not good. Kingsbury, stressed out. You watched him on the sideline. Kingsbury went for it on 4th down from his own 20 with the game still in contention yesterday, and he made it. But that's the level of desperation for Arizona right now. Okay. Quote from Kingsbury. I don't know if we're trying too hard to call a perfect play or do too much, but it's just been one thing after another. We've got to get it figured out. A.J. Green, a shell of the player that he was. They have known of DeAndre Hopkins. They haven't had Rondell Moore all year. James Conner is one of the weakest running backs in the league. This is not a dynamic offense right now, and it really shows. So, of course, Carolina's offense is even less dynamic because they've got all the problems that Arizona has without the quarterback. They got outgained 6.7 yards per play to 5.0 yards per play, even with Laviska Shenault's 67-yard touchdown, which saved the game for me. I bet on Carolina yesterday. It might have been a real sweat without that. Instead, they went straight up. But that was all catch and run. That was a defender missing a tackle and Shenault taking advantage. It wasn't anything Mayfield did. Mayfield was awful. Passes getting batted down to the line of scrimmage. Nobody open. Not seeing receivers. It's a problem for Carolina right now offensively. Their defense, however, was good enough to win yesterday's game. Maybe it's good enough to win this game, too, against an Arizona team that is struggling to score. And the total hasn't been bet at all. 44, I thought we might see some under money. There was some under money off the look ahead lines, but we haven't seen any real under money, significant under money on this one since it opened. It's come, 44, 44.5. I'm not convinced there's going to be more. That said, if you do like the under, Arizona, Carolina, I bet it now. We have seen at least some indication that the markets are looking in that direction.
Teddy, next game up. Really interested in your opinion here. Denver Broncos, Las Vegas Raiders, 273, 274, 44 the total. We're seeing Vegas -2. There's -2.5 and -1.5 out there as we're talking early in the week. Of course, the Denver Broncos looked as bad as you could on Sunday night and still get the win. I know because I lost betting against them, but to tell you the truth, Teddy, I'm looking to go against them here. I know Vegas is 0-3 straight up and against the spread. What are you hearing around town? What are we thinking here, Broncos and Raiders?
Nothing good about the Raiders. The Raiders, the Las Vegas experience has not been great so far. With the exception of them, the stadium's brilliant, but they've managed to piss off the city, alienate the fan base, and lose consistently. Which is not great for a team trying to make their mark in town. And they're not the lovable losers like the Bucs were or something when they first got